What in the Neon Genesis Evangelion is going on in Lord of the Mysteries? I thought I was ready for cosmic horror and a bit of steampunk magic, but by episode 4, I've seen a cursed puppet, a man mutated by a forbidden book, an underground cult worshipping something called the True Creator, and a talking dog, and somehow all of it is starting to make sense. This series keeps escalating, every episode takes bigger swings, introduces stranger concepts, and expects you to just keep moving on. Lord of the Mysteries doesn't slow down to explain itself, it drops a ritual or a cryptic phrase and suddenly the entire story shifts. The only way to follow it is to stop looking for firm ground and to just let it pull you in. Klein is still fumbling his way through powers he barely understands, the world is expanding fast, and the more I learn about Beyonders, sequences, and secret cults, the more I realize how little I know. But that's the fun of it. This isn't a traditional isekai, it's a slow descent into something deeper, stranger, and more layered than I ever expected. So in this video, we're diving into the horror, the rituals, the absurdity, and the brilliance of episodes 3 and 4. Stick around to the end for some unhinged anime-only theories, wild guesses about what's coming next, and my thoughts on the Lord of the Mysteries fandom as someone who came in completely blind. Episode 3 is where the tone shifts from vaguely spooky to actively unsettling. The moment sealed artifact 2-049 is introduced, a cute little doll that turns out to be the Antigonus family puppet, you realize Lord of the Mysteries is diving straight into the horror head first with no warning. The Nighthawks bring this puppet along to help track down Ray Bieber, a descendant of the Antigonus family, and at first it seems harmless, almost adorable, but the second it starts twitching and reacting to the presence of its former masters, the tension skyrockets. This thing isn't a tool, it's a loaded weapon, a cursed object barely under control, capable of tearing everything apart the moment the wrong trigger is pulled. It's a brilliant use of horror design, something that looks harmless at first glance, but hides a violent, unpredictable nature, and it sets the tone for the rest of the episode. From that point, everything feels unsafe. Then we meet Ray Bieber in his monstrous form. The moment he appears, his body twisted and bloated by the power of the Antigonus notebook, you realize just how fragile this world really is. The transformation is grotesque, his presence overwhelming, and the fight that follows is the most action-heavy moment we've had so far. It's also the most dangerous. What makes this sequence so effective isn't just the animation or the body horror, it's the stakes. For the first time, it feels like the Nighthawks could actually die. Klein's clearly in over his head. Being a Beyonder doesn't guarantee strength, it means constantly balancing on the edge between control and collapse. Leonard's role in the fight is subtle but revealing. While others freeze or struggle to stay conscious, he moves fluidly through the domain, completely aware of what's happening. It's a quiet but undeniable signal that Leonard is holding back, that he's far more powerful than he lets on. This episode doesn't waste time reminding you that rituals and sequences aren't just magic tricks, they're invitations. They open doors that can't be closed, and the entities on the other side don't care about human rules or limits. By the time the episode ends, the lore reveals itself as something deeply unsettling. It's a warning. Every discovery comes with consequence, every advancement has a cost. And the further Klein steps into this world, the more it feels like something's waiting for him to misstep. Hey there, looks like you've been caught in Dio Stan the World. While time's frozen, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss any future content. Alright, time's up, back to the video. Just when I thought I had a handle on Lord of the Mysteries, episode 4 shifts gears again. We go from cursed artifacts and body horror to Klein hanging out with his sister and cracking jokes with a sweet old man. And yet, somehow that tonal whiplash works, because in this world, the boundary between the ordinary and the supernatural is almost non-existent. We get one of the episode's funniest and most revealing moments early on when Neil casually performs a ritual to deal with a 30-pound bill. It's absurd, theatrical, and played completely straight, but it also reinforces just how normalized ritual-based power has become in this world. These aren't rare sacred events, they're tools, practical, even mundane, and yet still laced with a sense of unease. After that, we shift into a quieter sequence that gives us more of Klein's everyday life. His bond with Melissa comes through clearly, grounding the episode in something human. It's a rare stretch of calm, a glimpse of the normalcy that still exists beyond the Nighthawks. There's also a fantastic moment where Klein unknowingly realizes the ritual magic he did in episode 1 was legitimate magic. Neil's offhand explanation of how rituals work lines up with what Klein did step by step, the implication is clear. Klein is way deeper into this world than he thought, and no one around him realizes just how far he's already gone. But then the Tarot Club scene happens, and that's when things get really strange. Klein, Justice, and the Hanged Man meet again in the cosmic realm, and this time it's more than just eerie visuals. We actually start to get information. Justice is revealed as Audrey Hall following the spectator pathway, while Alger, the Hanged Man, represents the sailor pathway. Klein observes something strange in both of them, symbols, constellations, glowing indications of their sequences, but he keeps this detail to himself. What he does share though is just as surprising when Alger starts explaining what Audrey needs to focus on as a spectator, saying that mastering the power of potions is the most important part. Klein interrupts. Gently but firmly, he corrects him, offering insight that seems far too advanced for a level 9 seer. He tells them that mastering the potion isn't the key, it's digesting, not in finding, but in acting. What any of this means is completely unknown to me, but it has significance to Alger clearly based on his reactions. When Audrey later asks Klein about reforming the royal family, he responds with an answer that sounds less like divine wisdom and more like political theory. It's oddly specific, practical, and ends up sounding exactly like an entrance exam. And lastly, Klein gives homework to his fellow Tarot Club members to try ritual magic and gives them a threefold honorific. Again, going based on Alger's responses, Klein shouldn't know how to do any of this, and he's beginning to believe he's a ancient overpowered being. The strangest part is how natural it feels. Klein doesn't posture or try to impress them, he just speaks and it lands. From the very beginning, he's been the one shaping this space, summoning its members, assigning roles, guiding the conversation. He may not understand how or why it works, but the Tarot Club revolves around him. I'm only 4 episodes in and my brain already feels like it's being gently unraveled by arcane energy. I haven't looked anything up, no wikis, no web novel spoilers. These are just raw anime only brainwaves from someone trying to make sense of a world that keeps rewriting its own rules. Here are my theories, half logic, half gut feeling, and entirely subject to future regret. Let's start with Klein's growing access to knowledge he shouldn't have. It's becoming more and more obvious that something about Klein doesn't fit into the normal rules of this world. He's somehow mastering pieces of it without even realizing. Whether it's rituals, social dynamics, or complex pathway mechanics, he keeps saying the right thing before anyone explains it to him. And the way others react, especially people like Alger, proves it. The full title might be the key. It feels symbolic, almost archetypal. I don't think Klein just made up a cool name during that first ritual. I think he unintentionally tapped into a larger system, one that recognizes titles, not just sequences, and now the world is responding to him in a way that it wouldn't for an ordinary beyonder. Maybe the Fool isn't just a title, it's a function, a cosmic role that comes with responsibilities, perceptions, even authority, even if Klein has no idea he's carrying that weight. Then there's the sequence insight. When Klein looks at Audrey and Alger, he doesn't sense power, he sees it. Constellations, glowing symbols, representations of what they lack. He doesn't share this information, but we as the viewer can tell. He understands something about them that they don't. He has advanced system level awareness, which begs the question, how? He's a sequence 9 seer, he shouldn't be able to access this, but what if the seer pathway is misunderstood entirely? People treat seers like background players, support class characters, watchers, observers, diviners. But if Klein is any indication, the seer might be one of the most disruptive pathways in the entire system. Not because it controls power, but because it perceives it, and perception in this world might be the most dangerous force of all. Klein's words are already shaping others. He reframed Audrey's understanding of her role. He challenged Alger without even realizing it, and neither of them pushed back. What really fascinates me is the way the Tarot Club is functioning. Even without direct confrontation, the dynamics in this space are shifting. Audrey and Alger are starting to rely on Klein's insight, and Klein is becoming more confident, even if he doesn't fully understand the mechanics of what he's doing. And that's what scares me a little, because what happens when someone does realize what he's capable of? What if a more powerful entity enters that domain? This world doesn't seem particularly forgiving when it comes to people who overstep. We've already seen what happens when Beyonders lose control or go too far down the wrong path. The transformation of Ray Bieber was a clear message. Knowledge without preparation leads to destruction. Which brings me to my biggest worry. Maybe this story isn't about Klein becoming stronger, maybe it's about him becoming a threat. Unintentionally, slowly, through knowledge he never asked for and roles he never meant to fill, but still a threat. Someone who disrupts the balance of the world by simply existing in it. And then there's Dunn. Oh boy, Dunn, you know it all, don't you? I mentioned in my first video, Dunn is holding something back, and we definitely got some visual confirmation he knows something. That final moment where he seems dazed, almost haunted while speaking to Klein, Dunn's seen things. When Klein mentions the creator, we get this insane scene of Dunn standing in a domain, similar to that of the domain Klein was put into by Dali. We see this massive Evangelion-like angel, who I presume is the creator. He's calm, composed, and always in control until that moment. My theory, he recognizes something in Klein, maybe not exactly what, but enough to make him pause. Maybe he's seen this pattern before, maybe he knows where it leads, or maybe Dunn's afraid of what might be watching. Whatever the answer is, one thing's becoming clear. Lord of the Mysteries is laying out rules that don't want to be understood. And Klein, for better or worse, is the exception, walking straight through them. Lord of the Mysteries is only 4 episodes in, and I already feel like I've joined a cult I don't fully understand, but I'm not leaving anytime soon. What's kept me watching isn't just the horror or the animation, or even the absurdity of summoning people to a cosmic tea party every few days. It's the way the show balances all of that with something deeper, a creeping sense that none of this is random, that every word, every ritual, every shift in tone is part of something larger and far more dangerous than we've seen so far. I still don't understand half of what's happening, but the show doesn't demand total comprehension. It asks for attention, curiosity, and a little faith, and as a anime-only viewer, that's more than enough to keep me hooked. One thing I didn't expect going into this series was just how massive the Lord of the Mysteries community really is. The sheer volume of comments, theories, and fan engagement has been wild to witness, and honestly, it's kind of amazing seeing so many people enjoying the same story from so many angles. That said, the TikTok side of the fandom is a different beast. Every short I post gets hit with people trying to spoil major plot points. It's like the comments are basically booby-trapped. I also keep seeing the phrase, "that would be a reasonable development," over and over. I'm guessing it's someone's catchphrase, but I've got no context for it yet. Still, even with the spoiler attempts, it just shows how passionate the fanbase is, and that passion, it makes the whole experience even more fun. I don't know where any of this is going, but if this is what the beginning looks like, I genuinely can't wait to see what happens when things really start unraveling. Catch you in the next one.